Good morning. I'm on my way to work. It's very early. So today's video topic is going to be a simple one. You don't have to stay loyal to your company because they sure as hell aren't loyal to you. Enjoy. Now, when we think of freedom, we tend to think of physical freedom. So, for example, you might consider that prison is the opposite of freedom. But actually, it turns out that freedom is a mental state, meaning that you don't have to be in a prison to feel trapped, and vice versa. You can be imprisoned, but feel that you are free. And this is the essence of quiet quitting, the topic of today's episode. Now, we're going to dive into this trend that has been spreading on social media for some time now. We're going to talk about what it is, the benefits, and whether or not it's actually worth it. Now, some people criticize the slackers who do quiet quitting. Because of these slackers, the rest of the company has to pick up the slack. Never mind huge companies like Meta firing 11,000 people just to increase profits. Never mind companies paying children nickels to make shoes that they sell for hundreds. But when people decide themselves that they work to live and not the other way around, somehow they're considered the bad guys. No, not on my watch. The truth is, I get it though. Some people just don't have the experience to know how much companies actually screw people over. Well, I've seen it. I've experienced it. I've worked as a consultant for the past 15 years. I've worked at a ton of companies, and I've seen some crazy things that happen in companies that you won't even believe. So trust me when I tell you that you don't owe your company or your workplace anything, because they really, really don't care about you. So forget about their promises about promotions or bonuses or perks. All of that is just, it's a bag of tricks to keep you stuck in wage slavery for the rest of your life. You know why I work as a consultant? You know why I make these videos? The answer is actually the same, because I will never ever trust a company. I've been fired, I've been mistreated, and I know friends and family members that have also been hurt by companies in some way. And truth be told, as I meet a lot of people going from place to place, I often hear a lot of scary stories about how companies promise them the world and then basically screw them over. Now, maybe you have experience of this, or maybe you know people like this. And today we're going to talk about this growing trend called quiet quitting and whether or not it's a good way to break free from the grind of a 9-to-5 rat race. Let's talk about it. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of the benefits and the risks involved, and basically answering the question, is quiet quitting a good way to escape wage slavery? Let's get into it. So, quiet quitting actually isn't a new concept for me. In fact, in a way, I've been sort of practicing it since day one I stepped out of college. So what exactly is quiet quitting? It's actually just about doing the necessary tasks at work without overextending yourself. No overtime, no unnecessary stress, just doing what is required. And you are not actually quitting your job. You are just sort of detaching yourself emotionally from the idea that you are your job. In other words, you work to live, not the other way around. Now, to be honest, I think that this is something that should be obvious for everyone, but it's just not. For some strange reason, people stay loyal to their companies. It's like a family to them. But this makes no sense at all if you really, really think about it. Because when a company is desperate to increase profits for the owners, they will not even hesitate. They will not even blink. They will fire people who have worked for 20 years. I've seen this happen over and over again. Even here in the comments section. So if you have a story, let me know in the comments section. I would love to know about it. But there is this illusion that if you work hard, you will be rewarded, which we're going to talk about more about later in the video. But the problem with this entire idea is that it's a lie. When a company is downsizing, it usually actually gets rid of the people that work the longest and the hardest because they make a lot more money, so they cost more. So when a company is downsizing, what they are actually doing is getting rid of high-costing workers and recruiting new workers. It's cheaper to fire the old geezers and recruit fresh out of college kids who will work 90-hour weeks for pennies. And a company just doesn't care. For a company, it's all about the profit. So here's my question to you. Why isn't that your objective? When a company is trading your time and energy to make profit, why don't you have the same vision? If the company only wants to make money off of you, why don't you see the job that same way? So here's my problem. If a company increases its profits 10 times, why does your wage only increase 1 to 2%? Nobody seems to be bothered by this equation. Now, some people see work as something else. It's a place where you are social with your coworkers and you do fun projects together, you solve problems, and that's the illusion that keeps you from the truth. And the truth is actually quite simple. Your work is a transaction. You trade your time for money. That's the only thing happening here. That is the way the company sees it, and that is the way that you should see it too. All the perks, all the promotions and fun activities that the companies arrange, they are just ways to keep you in the illusion that you like working. Now, personally, I never attend after-work meetups at the bar. I only go to work to do the job. I don't care about the company. I see myself as a hired contractor. I see no reason to go the extra miles for the company. Imagine that you hire a contractor to repair your bathroom. Maybe you have a leaking faucet. You don't expect the contractor to also fix your kitchen. You're hired to do a job. And working at a company is the same thing. Now, I've heard this cliche line so many times at work, it's the customer that pays your salary. Whenever I hear that line, I feel like throwing up a little bit. This is just not true. The company is paying you to work. The customer is paying the company. If the customer truly paid you, you would be getting paid a lot more. I think the problem with quiet quitting is that the name gives people the wrong idea. People think it's basically doing a bad job or not doing your work, and it's just not the case. So I've heard other YouTubers give better suggestions. Some people call it doing the job you were paid to do, while others see it as a way to protect your health and well-being from overwork. And it's also essential to dispel this misconception that quiet quitting equates to lazy work. You can still deliver quality work while practicing quiet quitting. Remember, if there is extra slack, it's the company's responsibility to address it, not yours. We should all do the bare minimum. If companies are required by law to pay the minimum wage, you should be required to do the minimum work. So the next time a company downsizes and expects you to work extra because they're letting go of some people, you don't really have to. It's not your problem. It's the company's problem. If people get fired and you have to do work for 2 or 3 people, are you getting 3 times the salary? Of course not. So when you're in your 20s or your 30s, you have a lot of energy and you can do stuff after work, and in the weekends, you have a lot of time to spare. But as you get older, things sort of happen. When I get home from work, I do my workouts, I shower, I have some dinner, and after that, I sit on the couch and I watch Netflix. Now, I know how pathetic this sounds, but the truth is that my mind is just wasted after a day at the office. I give all my energy at the workplace, and when I get home, I'm essentially recovering. Watching Netflix is essentially all I have energy for. But my problem is the time you spend at work, it takes up so much more of your life that it doesn't make sense. Because if you don't have the energy and the time to enjoy life, then what's the freaking point? Then you're just living to work. If your evenings and weekends are all about recovering from the work, then you essentially live to work. And I think the problem is that at work, you're supposed to do 100%. Never do 100%. Life is like sailing. Always have one hand for the boat and one hand for yourself. When you are at work, your biggest responsibility is not to exhaust yourself. You're not going to sacrifice your health for the job. If you feel like you are too tired to do anything after work or on weekends, then it's a sign that you are essentially overworked. You're basically recovering on your spare time, and you should never do this. And any company that expects you to do that, they can go and screw themselves. In our society, hard work is highly esteemed. We all want to be recognized for our efforts, but the truth is, hard work often goes unnoticed. Throughout my years as a consultant, I've seen that the ones who do the majority of work are almost never the people who get promoted. They are never the people who climb the corporate ladder. Interpersonal skills often take precedence. So why exhaust yourself? So, as I said before, profits may soar, but your salary often remains stagnant. When profits dip, the company won't hesitate to let you go. Now, think about it. If it wasn't for the legal minimum wages, companies might even pay their workers a lot less. They even do that sometimes. They will outsource the work to other countries where the same rules don't apply, where they can hire kids to do the work for them. So personally, I think like this. If you want to work hard, why not put that hard work on something that matters to you personally, whether it's your side hustle or your family. Most people are so tired from work that they don't have the energy to be a good spouse or a good parent. And trust me, I know this feeling very well. It haunts me every single day. Most people don't seem to notice the injustice when people let go of hardworking people. It's actually kind of weird. I see it all the time. It's like a norm. It's like, hey, have you heard of Peter? Yeah, he was just let go. Oh, really? Oh, that's too bad. I liked him. Every time I see it happen, there is this sort of passive acceptance of reality. Whenever someone gets fired, it's every man for himself. Sometimes a person is even asked to leave the same day. It's actually happened to me. And the next week, people are initially shocked, but sort of move on. They accept that the company did what's best for the company. And you know what? If everyone at the company had a substantial stake in the company, I would understand that argument to some extent. But this is where I have a problem with the whole don't slack at work, think of your coworkers. Really? Where are the coworkers when you get fired? There's no meeting demanded by the staff asking the company to rehire the person to give them one more shot. The company doesn't care about you. You are just an expendable asset. No matter what your boss says or whatever your coworkers tell you, they can fire your ass even if you're doing your best. Now, you might be concerned that quiet quitting could lead to a termination, and this is actually a very valid concern, and I've actually faced it myself many times. But strangely, every time I've been let go, it led me to better opportunities, leaving me thankful for the change. And I never feel sad thinking of the place where I was let go. It's actually the opposite. I actually feel lucky that I was fired. So the idea that if I wasn't fired, I would have still been at those crappy places, that's the sad part. You know, most people are just stuck at dead-end jobs where they are not happy. Now, there are some tips, however, to avoid getting canned that I've learned with experience. So first of all, keep this quiet quitting for yourself. You know, don't spread the word about it. You don't want to be labeled as an underperformer. Basically, you want to pretend that you are working hard. Gossip travels fast at the office. The second tip is to just start and finish your work on time. Stop with the whole unpaid overtime nonsense. It's just not worth it. As a consultant, I charge for every hour I work. And I can't believe how many people actually work for free. Make it clear to everyone that you are very busy. This way, people will stop piling more things for you to do. So, is quiet quitting a good way to escape wage slavery? It's a nuanced approach with its own set of risks and rewards. Quiet quitting or not, remember, your well-being should always be top priority. But quiet quitting does give you more energy and time for other things that are important to you. Consider whether or not this method aligns with your career goals and personal values. The better you feel at work, the more energy you have to work on your side hustles that could potentially get you out of the 9-to-5 rat race. Now, I want to make it clear that I don't think that quiet quitting is a good alternative to escaping wage slavery. Quiet quitting is a good way to reduce stress and overwork, and I would suggest that everyone does it. But be careful. If you suddenly become a quiet quitter, people will notice, so do it gradually. And that's all I have to say about quiet quitting for now. As always, thank you for listening. Do me a favor, tap that like button to show your support. Subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. Until next time, stay hungry, relentless, and strong in your journey of escaping the wage slavery. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Okay. You wanna know what is in this bag?
Is it money?
No. Is power. Is happiness. Is respect. I remember. I grew up in small village. Work in tuna factory. I hated that place. Got up every morning, worked until my fingers bled. When the owner got rich and fat, one day, I took a look at my life and I said, "Yeah, enough is enough."
So what did you do?
I told you, got paid.